Hi guys, I'm hoping today that I can maybe help you in your decisions of choosing for a flash for the Fuji X system. So when I first kind of went all in, my biggest concern was, the flashes and, what I'm going to need to use that may help me. So what I decided was I used to use the yn600 ex-rt system. These are Canon ones, along with the yn3RT controller. And very foolishly, when I sold my Canon gear, I kind of knew the remote wouldn't work with the Fuji. So in a nutshell, I can use the flashes on the Fuji. Reason being why, because every Fuji camera has a center pin, which is pretty standard for literally any flash made for whatever, really. But the biggest concern was that I wanted to have, some sort of radio control when I'm shooting off flash. And this system here, which is basically a copy of Canon's own system, just never missed a beat for me. It was fantastic. Doing weddings, I could set up 3 or 4 of these around like a dance floor in the dark. I could set them all manually, all on ETTL if I wanted to, or a mixture of both. So when I sold the 5D, biggest gripe was, okay, so I need a decent ETTL flash. It has to do ETTL because if you're a wedding photographer or an event photographer, you need to be able to get that exposure there and then. You can't muck about trying to work out light meters and work out what values you need for exposure. It is all done on the fly. It really is. So my biggest concern was, okay, so before I switch out, what am I going to do? So there are a couple of options. So there's Fuji's own system, FX500 or EFX500. Please stand corrected if I've got that wrong. But I looked at it, checked out the price, saw it was only optical, and just straight away decided that that is not going to be for me. And although optical's fine and it will work, more or less for 90–95% of the time, if you want to hide flashes behind things so they don't show, optical doesn't always cut it because it's relying on the sensor on the cameras. They've all got sensors built in, if they have an optical sensor, that is, to pick up that flash. So I was in a bit of a dilemma. What do I do? Do I kind of spend sort of like, I think the Fuji 500 BX500 flashes are about, like, I think in the UK 499 or 449. I normally have at least 3 or 4, and I really didn't fancy spending over £1,000 just on 3 flashes. And then if I did do that, then the other issue I've got is I can't just use a trigger on top of the camera to remote all those flashes, because you've got to have a master on the camera to send the pre-flash or the flash to the other cameras to, get them to fire. Anyway, cut a long story short, Nissin came out with, so they've got a few different models. They've got the i40, which is just a flash with ETTL. It doesn't do, it has no way of talking to the Air 1 controller, which is currently on. Let me just show you that. Which is that there. So that's the Air 1 controller. They do the i60. The i60 is about £270 here in the UK at the moment. And they do the di700a, which is that one there. And at the moment, they're doing a really great deal where you can pick up this flash with the Air 1 controller for Fuji bundled together. I actually found it for 199 quid. That's with both. ETTL flash, doesn't currently do high-speed sync. That was a bit of an issue for me because I like to do a lot of portrait stuff with really shallow depth of field in sunlight, but there are ways to work around that using ND filters. So I wasn't really too fussed about that. It would have been nice, but then
the amount of power you lose, you know, using high speed sync anyway, it's not always great. I mean, it's there and it would work, but you're better off using the flashes, you know, as they're made, full power if you need it. Or anyway, that's another video. I won't go into all that now. So it got me thinking. So if I was to get the di700a, I literally can't use this on the XT2. So I can't put the main master flash on the XT2 and, you know, flip it up and bounce it up and still control two other di700s or, you know, i60s in the background, because it doesn't have a radio trigger sender. It's only got a receiver built in. Now that can be a bit of an issue, because if you're doing, you know, if you're shooting on a dance floor and you want a little bit of flash, and then you still want some other flashes around the dance floor to, you know, to take note of this flash, it just can't do it. So then that put me back into the quandary of, well, what am I going to do? You know, I don't want to go for the 500 Fuji flashes, which are going to cost me over £1,000 to get 3 of those. So I went back to the Canon flashes, which I kept here. Okay, so these are the Yongnuo yn600ex-rts. These are, honestly, these are fantastic flashes. I picked these up from eBay for about 80 quid each, okay? Don't bother with the controller if you want to do what I'm doing, because it's going to be no good to you. It's pointless. I've got it left over because of the Canon gear, and I don't know, sell it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So I'm hoping this video is going to help you maybe have an idea of what I'm doing, and it will save you some money along the road. So what I do now, if I need to, for instance, have the i700 on camera, move that out of the way, I can literally just use this on camera, use it manual, TTL, whatever, and I've set the Yongnuos to work in optical. Now, yes, it's not going to give me, I'm not going to be able to hide these flashes, you know, but as a backdrop, or, you know, extra light in the background, rim light, then background light, you know, they're great, because all you have to do is just set them. I don't know if you can see that there, it's a bit of a dodgy video, but as long as you've got a little lightning symbol there, that means it's set to optical. So it will pick up from built-in sensor, which I believe is somewhere on the front. I could be completely wrong, I don't know, but it has definitely got a built-in optical sensor because it works. And make sure you have it set to S2. Now, S2 mode basically means that it will cancel the pre-flash that the ETTL sends out. So when you fire this, if you're using this in ETTL, then basically what will happen is the first pre-flash, it would set these off. But with the S2 mode, it knows to cancel the pre-flash and just to fire when the second actual flash fires, sorry, not flyers, fires. And also, these can only be used in manual. So, you know, that's no big deal. What I normally do is just put my flashes up. I choose my values. I normally set these at 132 power, 164, you know, it just depends on how big a dance floor is really, or, you know, or whatever else you're trying to light. And then I just leave them on the stands, and I just let these just stay in the background, you know, and fire as and when this fires. Like I say, the remote is going to be obsolete for these, but again, doesn't matter. For the amount of money you're saving, it doesn't make a massive difference. So if I'm just to fire now a shot, okay, so as long as both flashes are in S2 mode and you've got the lightning symbol there, they are now in optical. Now, the reason you need the S2 mode, which says there, is purely that it's gonna, if you're shooting in ETTL here, for instance, okay, then it's basically going to ignore the first pre-flash, okay? If you have it in S1, the pre-flash this sends out for the ETTL will fire these and making these pointless. So just make sure that it's an S2. So I've now got the di700, let me see, where is it? And it's showing their TTL. So I'm going to basically just fire the flash, and you'll see that's firing these two as well. That's because these are just picking up the optical, but they're skipping the first pre-flash. What you might want to do as well, if you're using these on light stands, is probably actually flip them so the LCD is actually facing away from you, and you want this part of the camera here. That's got a built-in sensor, and it'll pick it up a lot better. I mean, if this doesn't matter because it's bouncing off everything and picking it up anyway, but you know, if in the dark room on light stands, you'll need to do that, and then you'll see they still fire. You can even hear the beeps, which is brilliant. And if for any reason I want to use off-camera flash, then, and I don't need these, for instance, get rid of those. So if I want to, for instance, use the flash, off flash, just basically use the di700 along with the Air 1 controller, either manual, you wouldn't really want to use it in TTL off camera, you can do, but if you do, anyway, I would rather choose manual, but anyway, depends on what you're shooting. You can have it off camera flash, and you can choose your values there, so plus or minus, I think it's 2 stops, yeah, 2 stops of compensation. And then you can have your A group or B group, or you can just have one group, or you can have lots on one group, you know, it's entirely up to you. Yeah, and you know, it does the job. So I could now put this on camera on the X-T2, and now focus on something. There you go. Oh, it's sending all the Yongnuos going, so let's turn those off. There we go. Off camera flash, straightforward. Radio, not optical, so you haven't got to worry about it. So it is a little bit of a mishmash, you know, it's using 2 different systems, and it's just purely if you want to save a little bit of cash. If you're confident with flashes, you can easily do this, you know, really easily. All you need to do is just, you know, take a couple of test pictures, and just make sure that the manual power output on the flashes are set to what you want. So either, you know, 1/64 power, 132 power. These are really powerful flashes. These have got a guide number of 60, so these are well powerful. The di700 isn't as powerful. I think it's got a guide number of 54, but it's still up there. You know, I've not had no problems with it. It is a really good flash. I hope it's helped you. If it has, you know, give me a like, subscribe. If there are any questions, please drop them in the comment section, and I'll be happy to, I'll try and reply to everyone. If I know the answer, you know, I'm not making out I know everything. I can only tell you the information that I know on what works for me. I'm not a crazy tech dude that knows everything. All I know is what works for me, you know, when I'm out there working, and how I do it, and you know, it comes with practice, and that's all I can explain. But thank you so much, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Cheers, bye.